Okay everybody, welcome back to Midwest Cooking on YouTube. Today we're going to be making a DDP Yoga approved breakfast. So I've been doing DDP Yoga for a couple weeks and it's going great. But the one problem that I kind of struggled with was breakfast. I am a huge breakfast person, love breakfast, and it was hard for me to incorporate a lot of the stuff that needs to be incorporated with DDP Yoga for food-wise. So my normal breakfast would have been 2 scrambled eggs, a little bit of Miracle Whip, and a Great Value hash brown patty made in our air fryer. I always thought it was, good and healthy and all that other stuff, which it's not the worst breakfast, but it's not the best. So what I did is I took some time, looked everything over, and tried to come up and incorporate as much healthy food as I could, something that's not, deep fried, frozen, and then sent to us like a hash brown patty would be. So in order to make all this, what you'll need is a pound of mushrooms, or 2 pounds of mushrooms. You'll need 8 to 12 ounces roughly of spinach. You'll need a frozen bag of hash browns. And what you're going to do with those is you're going to need 5 ounces for each breakfast meal. So then you can gauge on how much you would like to buy. I have some homemade salsa. If you want to get a jar of salsa from the store, you can. And then optional then is cheese, because they allow you to have some dairy. So for your breakfast, what DDP recommends for you is 1 serving of fruit, which is either 1 apple or any cup of any fresh fruit that you want. You can have unlimited vegetables, so that's where I came up with the spinach and the mushrooms, because those are vegetables. So what I tried doing is incorporating a bunch of vegetables in with my other food so I can have a larger breakfast, but incorporate more healthy food to be able to work within the program. So then you can have 1 serving of complex carbs, which is included in that, in complex carbs, is a medium potato. So a medium potato is about 5 ounces of hash browns. So then you can also have 1 serving of protein, which is between 2 and 3 eggs. I usually do 2, unless I'm kind of hungry in the morning. I'll make a 3rd one. It's in there. He says you can use it, so great. And then you can have 1 serving of dairy, which is either 8 ounces of milk or 1 cup of non-fat cottage cheese, an ounce of butter, or an ounce of cheese. So if you really, really like cheese, you can still put it in there, but then you can't have a glass of milk. Me, I always have a glass of milk with breakfast, so I usually don't use the cheese. But it's up there if you want it. And then you can have a healthy fat, which is like vegan mayo, regular mayo, Miracle Whip, or like an avocado. I don't use any of that. That one I skip on my breakfast. So that's what I'll be showing you how I make, and how I make my breakfast, actually to the point where it seems like a whole lot of food. You're like, oh man, I don't know if I can eat all that. But I do, because you need it. Your body really tends to eat a lot more of that healthy food. So what you all see here is we will all use, except I will not use the cheese because I have a glass of milk with mine. So we'll come back. I'll show you how to meal prep the mushrooms and the spinach, and then everything else we'll make fresh when you cook your breakfast in the morning. But the spinach and the mushrooms, I always make ahead of time, because then all you have to do is throw that in the pan. So we'll come back, show you how to get that made up for meal prep. Alright, here we go. So we have all of our mushrooms cleaned and sliced, and then we have our spinach that's been washed. So what you're going to want to do is take a skillet or a large pan, because it's going to be producing a lot of moisture and volume just from the initial spinach that goes on there. So what you do is I'll just put a little non-stick on here. You don't really want to use butter. That's not what is really the whole point of doing the meal prep stuff for the DDP Yoga stuff. So stay away from butter, just use some non-stick, and then get your mushrooms in there. And we'll let those cook for a few minutes until they start to kind of get sauteed, and then they'll reduce down a little bit, and then we'll have enough room to put the spinach in. And don't be alarmed by the volume of the spinach, because that'll shrink pretty rapidly once you get it in there. So we'll fast forward through this part so you don't have to watch it all. We'll come back once everything's been all cooked and ready to go, and then we'll go on to the next portion. Alright, so once you start to see some of your mushrooms are starting to get brown and you don't see any moisture left in the pan, that's when you know it's done and ready to go. So all we're going to do here is just turn off our skillet, or if you're on the oven, just turn off your burner. And then I just found a nice large Pyrex bowl, and we'll transfer it into that so then you can just use it as you need it during the week. So how I gauge this, since they are vegetables and you get unlimited vegetables, you can use as much or as little as you want. So if you're super hungry in the morning, use a ton of them, load it up. If you're not so hungry in the morning, you can go with a little bit less if you'd rather have your eggs or a different portion of your breakfast. Use less. You don't have to use them all. As DDP always says, make it your own. And that's essentially what you're doing here with adding these vegetables into your breakfast. You're giving yourself the chance to kind of customize how much you want or how much you don't want. So I mean, if you're like me, I'm 6'6" and was almost 400 pounds before I started DDP Yoga. I was hungry in the morning. I ate way more than I should have when I started, but with this, it was pretty simple. Vegetables and stuff, substitute stuff in you like for veggies, and load it up. That way you can have more and have that full feeling in your stomach, but yet you're still eating, healthy. So now that this is done, what we're going to do is get this put aside, and then you can use it as you want it during the week. So the next portion of this then will be, we'll show you how to make your hash browns and your eggs for breakfast, and then you should be all set to go to have your DDP approved breakfast ready to go. Alright, so now we'll make the crispy hash browns in the waffle maker. So what you're going to need is obviously waffle maker, preferably one that'll latch shut, but you don't need it. And then you need your 5 ounces of hash browns. So I'll divide these up into 2 wells, and that's what I'll use. So 5 ounces of hash browns is what you need. Now you can portion them out during the week, so you can just grab them and go right away, but just make sure again that they are thawed. You don't want them frozen. So go ahead and put a little non-stick on here. And I just kind of mount them up in the middle. And again, if you have one that closes, that makes it a little bit easier. Otherwise, you kind of spread it out. And then simply close it, latch it shut, and you can let it go until they're just about ready. And then we'll start on our eggs and spinach and mushroom mixture. Alright, so just in case if you're wondering, I'll leave a link in the description for below for the video on how to make crispy hash browns without any oil, because that's the key here. You don't want to use any oil. Use a little bit of non-stick spray, but that's it. So you're going to want to get your pan ready so it's warm. So put a little non-stick in there, and then you can go ahead and just put in whatever you want for mushrooms and spinach. If you're kind of feeling hungry in the morning, put more in. If you're not super hungry, put less. Really that simple. Nothing too fancy when it comes to that. So really all you're going to want to do now is just warm your mushrooms and spinach up and then cook your eggs. So I won't let you sit here for a few minutes and watch that. We'll kind of fast forward through everything, but we'll come back once everything is just about done. We'll take a look. Our hash browns are looking nice and crispy here. You can see they're starting to get golden in the middle and around the edges. So that's when you know they're just about ready. So it looks like we are right on track here. So we'll fast forward through this. We'll come back at the end and show you everything ready to go. right, now that we are all ready to go, we'll get this off the heat here. And we'll get everything plated up and show you what it all looks like. All right, so here you go. There's your eggs, mushrooms, and spinach, and your crispy hash browns without any oil. And then for my dairy portion of it, I love milk with breakfast, so I can't skip. I got 8 ounces of milk that I have. Now again, if you want to sub that, you can put an ounce of cheese in there. You can use cottage cheese if you want more food. But again, the beauty of it is look at all the vegetables you're getting with your scrambled eggs. It's a good way for me to substitute. It's really the only way I'll ever eat spinach. So perfect way to incorporate some vegetables into your breakfast. So if you can, give us a thumbs up. Give us a comment or a question below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button for us. So appreciate you coming.